But there's a bunch of different aspects.
Yeah. So what I've read so
I'm on live. I pressed the button.
Oh.
So,
Press the button?
yes, I pressed the button. I'm live. There's 24 people watching, including my son now. My kids show up as soon as I press the live stream, so things are slightly delayed.
It's more of a light stream.
It's a light stream. They did bring me some.
I bought some ice.
This is not sponsored by, but they did bring me some DQ here. Welcome to Vlog Thursday. And, you know, I can't, when it's live, you don't know what's going to happen, including if someone just sets a Dairy Queen in front of me with some chocolate, and my son, who's down in the other room. So, I don't know why he's here, but hey, he's here. That's cool. My kids come and visit me sometimes, because I'm at work a lot. What is the title of this? Oh, I got stuff I wanted to put in frame, but this ice cream distracted me. I got a thing, and it's really a heavy thing. There we go. Come on. Focus. This thing has to weigh 10 pounds. It's a little trophy I got for being on the MSP Voice podcast. And I think it's really clever. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Here, now it's in frame. I have to figure out what's, everything's in reverse when you're framing things. Anyways, enough of that. Yeah, afternoon food. Hold on, I'm going to take one more bite. Just one last bite of this. It's amazing. It's very unexpected, but it's so good. All right. See, it's really a live show here. You see the cool rack behind me? I'm going to do a tour of all this. Matter of fact, just out of reach, and I'm grabbing it all. I'm going to do some of the, people have questions sometimes. They don't know what parts to get and what they're called, what they are. So I'm going to do a how to put all these parts together, how all of this stuff works type tour. Oh, that's the other thing I'm looking for. Which was the other thing I got for being on the MSP Voice. And I like the branding they put on there. Very cool. So, that's a podcast. 1 second here. Okay, I had to adjust the mic. Sorry if it made any noise. Sorry, now I'm ready. Been a very, I try to plan things. This is my problem. Everything keeps coming up, and it's IT, so there's always these emergencies. So that's kind of what made me a few minutes late starting. Then the kids just hey, Dad, and they're here. But if you haven't heard the MSP Voice podcast, they have great guests. I'm not just saying that because I was on there, but because I've been a guest twice on that podcast. And I've listened to a lot of the episodes. If you work in the MSP space, I listen to a lot of podcasts. My information doesn't just come from the sky. I spend a lot of time reading podcasts and things like that. And that's another one I actually listen to. And it's grown really well. Doug is the co-host, and they keep it roughly 30 minutes, which is pretty reasonable for a podcast. And they got some good guests on there that you can learn from. So if you're working in this space, it's a good one to listen to. I said I'd bring it up to promote it, because I think it's of value. I'm not being paid. They did send me a cool thing. I'm always honest about things that I'm sent or whatever, but they sent me a couple cool things. This isn't why, and I was the guest on there, but just worth listening to, and I thought I'd bring that up. All right, so let me read the comments here. It took me a second to get caught up on all this. Hi from Sweden. Hello from outside Chicago. Chicago, awesome. Yeah, food's good in the afternoon. Now everyone wants some DQ. Yeah. Just got back from the gym, 2K. I need to exercise more. That's actually what me and the kids are talking about. I know they want to go to, we're going to do some bicycle riding later. So, yep. Let's see. Looking at that rack, seems like you got a PfSense box attached to a Unify switch. Is that a 4x 1 gigabit lag? Yep, kind of, sort of. It's just it's not set up in lag. It's just a bunch of ports plugged in. I'll be doing a video on this tomorrow because it's nice out and I'm not staying here today doing our video. Because it's only 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time right now. So after this, my plan is to forward over one more quote to a client so they can hopefully approve it and leave. So, yeah. Oh, it's finally an episode. It's not in the middle of the night in Norway. Yeah, that's something we noticed. That is, we were looking at time zones a lot because we're working on some processes and workflow. and kind of seeing like what's a better way to do this for when we book clients. And because time zones get confusing, so we're setting up some landing pages for that to make it easier when someone pays for consulting for them to pick times, because everyone's always in wildly different time zones. So that's definitely, so for some of you it's good afternoon, some of you it's good morning, and some of you it's really, really late evening. This is why are you awake time. If I guess you're like in Europe and Norway, if I do it later, it's quite late. The history thing I wanted to talk about. So I gotta see if I can't open this up for you. And I don't know, I can't remember, and I gotta go through after doing over 800 videos. Sometimes you forget things. I was trying to determine what I have or haven't done a video on, but I don't know how much I've talked about some of the history of one of those how did I get here type things. And so I'm gonna pull up something here. Some of you may have seen it. I didn't tweet about it, but here we go. We'll do it this way. So I posted these on Facebook where I can do things in longer form. Let me see if the second there we go. There is Tom from 2004. This is me when I had a TV repair shop, and I was still doing, this is back when I was still doing some of the enterprise work. This is when I was just starting in my business. 2004, I had acquired a TV place. There's me cleaning up the TV place with a friend and getting everything organized. I like the buttons and knobs over here. We were slowly starting to organize this place, and then this is what it looks like from flipped over the other way, looking down there where, we had a lot of TVs to repair and things like that. But it's one of those things that I can't remember how much history I've talked about. So it's like one of those things like, did I talk about a lot of them? I can't really remember, but it's kind of neat. So I thought maybe I'll put some history stuff together because sometimes people ask, and I just want to make sure I'm always clear on how that is. The journey of being an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of the advice many businesses give, they don't always give the best answers. They may not always... let me mute my phone. They may not give answers that I think are as concise, and it's not like there's a cookie cutter journey to success. And it's one of the things when I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs, I always like to let them know it's like there's this kind of collision of some luck, being in the right place, being in the right time, and being prepared. So there's like a collision of luck and being prepared for luck when it comes at you to make sure something happens. There's things you can do to help make yourself in the right position more often, but it's not like anyone has the same journey to success. But I think this is what makes it interesting is each person's journey, and you can pick up different things and go, hey, that's interesting because for them, this is what worked, and maybe for someone else, something else worked. And for me, right now, the YouTube thing is what I've been doing a lot of, and it works. But, everything's accumulation of experiences from being a TV repair guy to a network engineer. When I was a network engineer before I was a TV repair guy, and I've been a Linux admin, because even though I had a TV repair place, I spent most of the time back then, I was actually managing a lot of people's mail servers and PHP bulletin boards. And setting up PHP Nuke servers. If you remember, PHP Nuke was a bulletin board or like a news service. Very similar. It worked a little bit similar, at least in way it looks, to Slashdot. And I used to do a lot of that Linux admin work and setting up Apache servers back then. So, and hang out at a TV repair store and make all that happen. So, catch up with the comments here again. 8:10 p.m. there. Time zone. Yeah, time zones. Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be windy, so that's going to be interesting. How much space you need for CRTs? That's actually a big thing. The lot of space it took to repair. We didn't just do the CRTs. We did like the big projection TVs. And some of the tricks to repairing projection TVs is some of them are very modular. So like the Sonys, you could slide out the whole modules that held all of it in the wooden box and work on it. And then we'd have a series of mirrors in the shop so we could test it before we delivered it back. So we didn't have to take the whole big screen projection unit. We could take just some of the modules out of it. So yeah, I really don't have any video I did back then. I got a lot of photos and stuff, but yeah. Hey, John Greco, you're the noise on my phone. So hi, I'm CC'd in a conversation he's having with one of my staff and getting things set up over on the launching some MSP stuff. So great to see you here, John. Yeah, luck is preparation meets opportunity. Exactly. And I want to remind people that a lot. There's so many people that just make some weird assumptions that this or that. And I mean, obviously, sometimes you're lucky just because you were born into a well-connected, wealthy family. That's amazing. Awesome. Good for you. I don't dislike or anyone who's done that way. That's just great for some people, and other people weren't. So, it's all about how you seize the opportunities given to you. And sometimes life just takes a dump on you. That sucks too. Nothing you can do. So, one of a friend started to repair, quit after finding far too much animal hair. Oh, yes. We found cockroaches. We found things like that. That's definitely happened. Yeah, coding, networking experience. So not only that, we'll go a step further. I grew up fixing tractors on a farm, so I have like a lot of mechanical experience. I built cars and things like that for a while. So it starts with tractors, moved on to cars. To me, they're all just things that follow logical processes. As long as you learn whatever those logical processes are, you can follow along and repair, tweak, or hack them to make them do something different. It's never looked at this way. You talk about someone being a gearhead, they're a car hacker, and they say, oh, no one's doing the car hacking. I'm like, yeah, we were. You should have seen the Frankenstein Chevy truck I built back in like the 90s. Like that's still hacking. And it's funny how there's a crossover to people who, hack hardware and hack computers and hack cars and things like that. I don't look at them any different, maybe different mediums that you're working on, but the concept's the same. You're tweaking it and you're seeing what will fit together and how much faster you can make it with a car, and the same thing with the computers. It's all the same thing. It's all a lot of fun. Pursue your passion on that. What else we got here? Helps have experience with some coding. PfSense P3 no longer lets other than the admin account new users manager. That's a bug. I posted on Reddit in the PfSense forum. No one replied to me, so I'm going to file it under bug because it's just sending you the wrong link. Let me pull up my Reddit post because I'll read through exactly what it does. This is definitely a weird problem. I don't know why, but the link changes. And that doesn't feel like a mistake, like a bug, but I don't know. It is a bug as far as I'm concerned because obviously my own recommendation, delete admin user, create other user. So let me go over here to the full comments and see if there's any updates on this. But it's an issue. So yeah, people have upvoted it. So let me read to you what's going on. We'll go to here. So, and this is what I wrote. This appears to be a bug when logged in user creates admin privileges, but not the admin user going to. Systems user manager takes you to password manager instead of system_user manager. Going to the system_user manager.php manually works. So the workaround is literally go to your PfSense system and just go to the user manager.php page. And I was waiting for hopefully a reply. I know they're good at PfSense about following all this, and I'm gonna, if they don't follow up, maybe I'll do a video to be like, hey, you need to fix this. This is kind of an aggravation. Our policy is to get rid of the admin user, disable login for admin, and log in as a secondary user. It's standard security. I don't like the user being admin as a default user. Even though we changed the password, of course, I like it better to have something else. Therefore, yeah, it's a bug as far as I'm concerned. It's something I want them to change. So, let's see. Texas. Do I think ransomware issues will grow in the next year? Yes. Hello from Texas and everywhere else I get hello from. Let me make sure I caught up with everyone's comments. It's messing with something you think you can improve, making with you. Yeah, that's about the hacking. So you don't have to re-enable the admin account. Just remember to paste it unless you're changing users all the time and it becomes too inconvenient. But just go to that user, like I said in my Reddit post, which I can throw that link in here. That's easy enough. I posted the workaround. I'm waiting on them to come up with a solution because this is not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. So we'll go for there. Yeah, it's just, anyways. Ransomware is going to be an interesting topic. So we've seen ransomware changing because we've seen the crypto jacking, the borrowing CPU cycles. Well, the borrowing CPU cycles was because it was, I could get if you got access to a machine, you could gain access to it, and from having access to the machine, you could then, make money with Bitcoin. Well, you got to make money somehow if you're hacking. How do you make money if you're hacking? Well, if Bitcoin prices, and they did drop, the next solution is to go over and do ransomware. And especially in the Baltimore, I keep saying Boston, the Baltimore side of it, they had very targeted. From what I read, it looks like their the malware they had was like highly targeted, like very specific. And they had access to things, and they had probably persistent long-term access, which gave them more time to dig in and probably delete backups, stay in the systems long enough that they couldn't recover, hence making this such a severe problem for the city of Baltimore. I've been trying to get someone to give details. Even people had commented, places. I've seen people talking on Reddit. There's not a lot of information being released. The FBI is involved in everything. I don't blame any of these IT people. They don't really want to talk about it. But it does sound like, they are raised awareness on numerous occasions that there were problems with the IT infrastructure. It needed to be updated, and just no one got around to updating it. No one released the budget for it. It happens, and that's what seemed to happen there. So I think ransomware, we're going to see more of it. We're going to see especially targeted, like very specific types of ransomware like that. So yeah, it's going to be a problem. Now, this is one of the reasons I released a video called Fighting Ransomware with PfSense. With FreeNAS, and which it's a mitigation. It's a fail-safe to have like ZFS snapshots, create a separate admin password. I talked a little bit about it in a video. That way, if they crack your Active Directory and get admin access, admin credentials, they also don't fall over and have credentials for your FreeNAS, because you should be using some type of separate account, not federated with your Active Directory. So yeah. Yeah, it sounds like they're going to burn their servers down and start over. That's what Willie Howe says. Hey, Willie Howe, good idea. It'll be a while before you really know. Yeah, I'm hoping to give a good technical debrief, but I'm really not thinking that's what they're going to do. There's no dancing on the live stream. Matter of fact, take your DQ cup out of here.
Okay.
And you can eat the pizza.
I'm good.
Okay. There you go. So, all right.
Such a big box.
Sorry about the distractions. So, what else we got? It sounds like they're going to burn our servers. Yes, absolutely. Network Manager 1.6 has native WireGuard support. Looking for PfSense support. Yeah, as WireGuard matures, and I know that they're offering they're working on a BSD port of it, as far as I remember. So that's probably going to happen. I don't know, but I hope so. It'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind too if PfSense integrates a few other things in there. I think what was another VPN someone had asked about. Maybe they'll integrate it. WireGuard overall, though, it seems quite fast and seems like a really good thing. Oh, zero tier. I was hoping at some point, and I think it needs a package maintainer, so it's less a PfSense problem, more of finding a package maintainer. Zero tier would be kind of cool if they integrated it smoothly into PfSense. I think that'd be kind of novel. So, let's see what else we got here. I was going to buy myself a 10 gig internet, but the price would be $200 per month. 1 year, $445 a month rather than 200 megabit, $78 per month. Unlimited might keep adding years, yeah. We could use faster internet here, but it's expensive. It's funny, there's a lot of fiber places, and we're getting closer because there's fiber a few blocks away. I don't know what they would charge me for it, but it's something I thought about. They just ran new fiber lines in our area. We have several companies now competing for fiber here in Michigan, which is actually really cool. Definitely something that I'm excited for, and getting more connectivity and more speed is always awesome. Would I ever review Sophos? I don't know. I was thinking about reviewing Sophos, but the thing with Sophos is I think they have some type of free tier, but we just removed this from a client who is super unhappy with it. And my experience with it, I think I like a lot where they're going with it. But man, I hate that interface. That interface didn't make a lot of sense. The way they do the objects in a way, they reminded me of how SonicWall, and I haven't used the recent SonicWall, but some of the older ones, I get it. I understand. I like being able to use objects in my firewall. But when you have everything laid out in a very unclear manner, it's a real pain in the butt. So I don't know. I may look at it a little bit. I love their integration for Sophos on the desktop versus Sophos Firewall and how they have a whole integration package, but I don't know. It's not something I'm super excited about because my experience is removing it from this client. They're happy to see it gone. They had a lot of little quirkiness with it. Most of our problem with it when we were looking at it is going, these rules don't make any sense, and the way they're laid out is stupid. Let's see. Multiple PfSense boxes as load balance HA, multiple ISP. If you want to set up, there is HA options for and load balancing. Well, you can kind of load balance in PfSense. I mean, it's got the ability to based on certain thresholds you set, but it's not the same as SD-WAN bonding. It doesn't offer that, in case you're wondering. No, I'm not a WISP expert. So, let's see. PfSense box you have in the rack behind you as the AirPro 8 is pretty good. Want more expensive PfSense. Yeah, this is going to be part of the review. This is just a little super micro server. We actually have loaded different things on it at different times. We've had it kicking around the shop for a couple months. We've been doing all kinds of testing with it because I'm going to do some more Untangle videos. I'm going to do some more PfSense videos. If you're looking for some of the other firewalls that have nice reporting and everything, I like Untangle as well. It's another firewall, but I don't talk about it as much because it's licensed, and when you get licensed ones, people seem to be less interested in the videos on it. But maybe I'll do one more. I looked at my first Untangle video, and it has quite a few views, so maybe I'll do a few more Untangle videos, and that's why this is here, so I can easily, from a hardware, if I want to run it on hardware, load that on there. I also am going to load Security Onion on this. I have Security Onion in a VM, but Security Onion works way better in a hardware environment. So I may do some videos of how to stand that up and how to set up Security Onion. PfSense does, so they won't integrate it till it reaches version 1. Hey, that makes sense. PfSense cares a lot about security and stability. So I don't mind the fact that they're really cautious. So let's see. Gonna watch your lab video next. Looks like a good background. Love the... All right, yeah, how the G4 looks. Cool, thanks. Joined Sofa Nuke many years back. However, they interviewed in C development when I was C++. Okay, cool. This is 15 years ago now, though. Yeah, it's been a while. Will Untangle ever surpass PfSense in your IT heart? Probably not. Like, it really comes down to use case. People go nuts, and I have someone that was really, they want PfSense, but they wanted me to try, and I get weird requests sometimes. They kept asking, like, I need every dashboard that does this, 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 and this, and this. I'm like, well, it just doesn't have that. They really care about all the detailed reporting. Okay, I don't care about pretty graphs that much. They aren't the thing that gets me excited in the morning. So PfSense is to me like a Swiss Army knife of technical things that I can do to solve a network problem. Untangle does have really cool reporting and built-in niceties that are pretty slick. And I was like, this is easier from an end user standpoint to use to understand things without, like they have the one-click putting devices and doing the routing to put something on VPN. I have a video on that. You just upload the OpenVPN file to it and it just works. Those are really nice features that maybe PfSense will get, but from a standpoint, especially for home users that go, I want that, they have like a $50 a year license. And even without the license, if you use the free version, which is fully open source of Untangle, you still get a lot of those VPN features on there. So it's not that as much will surpass. I'm very technical, and I don't mind doing very technical things. And PfSense, I understand how to use. Untangle's nice because there's people who want to play with stuff, and they want one-click boxes for things. And Untangle fits the bill for that. Does a great job. So thank you, Uncle Skeet. So got a couple dollars from there. I will throw it in a can back here for the beer money. I would like to PfSense WAN to main VLAN, WAN 2 to PS4 and guest failover between it. Never got it working on an ERP8. I've got a failover video for that. You got to remember though, and I got to do a follow-up video just called basically failover isn't SD-WAN. There's different ways that works, and it confuses people because they think it's going to fail over instantly. They don't understand the state tables and how things have to be reestablished. And it's how they bid or how they sell the solution. And I want to do an explainer video on that because people get all the different things because the terminology is so similar, but there are distinct differences in the way these things are implemented. So, yeah, thanks for turning me on a zero tier. Yeah, zero tier has been really awesome. proposed it. It's been working as a solution for someone that we consulted with. They're running a bunch of businesses with it, but it's a great solution for a lot of different reasons. I've seen a lot of people do some cool stuff with it. So thank you, George Moody, Beer Money. Thanks for all the great videos. Awesome. Also, if you don't know, if you search, I have a playlist now for how they got hacked on my channel. So you go to my channel, go to playlist. But if you notice, all the new videos are going to be posted on the How They Got Hacked channel. So if you want to be notified of when those videos are getting scheduled, go over there. And I bring it up because someone said Beer Money, and that's where the next live stream is. I didn't schedule it because until you get 1,000 subscribers, which are close, it doesn't let you schedule things automatically. There's some challenges there. YouTube has like a bar they set a little bit higher when you start a new channel, but we wanted to focus all the hacking stuff into that channel. There's still going to be all kinds of tutorials here. Just the other channel is the joint venture between me, Xavier, and Mo for everything that goes on over there. The IP that you need to be pinged for the must be external. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff that you have to deal with some of the different ISP. I started to say MSP. ISPs when you're doing that, so definitely an issue. So one of the things I always am looking at is process improvement. So we're working on some easier ways to book time, some ways you can schedule interaction with my staff here. Because the consulting thing is an expansion and growth of the company. We do the MSP thing. We do the break-fix IT services. And the other side of that, though, is that we do we want to make it easier for everyone to schedule. So rolling out in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some easier online booking and scheduling so you can just see the calendars and everything else. So for those of you that just want to buy a certain amount of time for consulting, I want to make the barrier of entry as smooth and easy as possible to do that. So that's just going to be things you'll see rolling out on our website. But it's also a time I take back and look at any of the processes that are going on, and I point that way because that's where the IT room is in the tech area. I'm always looking to improve that. And I think that's an important part of business is the growth part. And I run into so many IT people who are stuck in their ways. We just dealt with someone, their servers were hacked and spamming us, and it's some person very stuck in their ways with another competing IT company. I say competing loosely because they think that you shouldn't put things in the cloud, that your email server should be local, and that you should have really old versions of Symantec endpoint loaded and running in front of those servers and doing a horrible job of spam filtering, and then your server's hacked, and first you deny it. We prove the mail records are yours. Yeah. So you've got to constantly be willing to let go of whatever you know and change out to something new. And I do that all the time. I'm always looking at, what the new things are. Not to the point where you're disrupting things, because at some point you have to get done. You can't just keep changing all the time. But it's always good to revisit processes, revamp them, and go, okay, what can I do to make this easier? What can I do to make this less steps? Or what can I do to make my customer interactions and client interactions easier and smoother? So that's kind of the whole take a step back, follow the process. As much as I don't like always doing it, I do document some of the processes, draw them out in a flow chart and go, this part is the part where the pain point is, or this part is where some of the people, fall off. So I am looking to roll that out and make that a lot easier. Are Ubiquiti cameras still my go-to? Yes, no. So I got one back here. So there it goes. I don't know. So I've got a problem with Ubiquiti right now because they discontinued the NVR software. They still support it. You can still download it. There's no license fee, so it's not like it died. It just isn't getting any new versions. And because of this, it's kind of put us at a quandary. We have clients out there with, 30, 40 cameras and going, they're not getting any more updates. That sucks. They claim to they'll maintain security updates, but they're not giving them any more new versions with new features. And you're like, oh, so the roadmap ended. So they come out with this. Cloud Key Gen 2, which I got one sitting right here that I'm going to be doing a review. And the reason I haven't reviewed it, partly time, but the other part is we've been upgrading it, updating it, and doing the upgrades. It only supports a lot less cameras, and it only works on single hard drive. And so far, I don't think it's a bad product. I think it works really well. I don't see it targeted at businesses. I see it targeted at, maybe small businesses that need like 4 cameras or 6 cameras. I don't see it as a big camera system. So they're not, and we still do Exact-Vision and other systems for some of our large commercial installs. So we're still doing those, but way different price categories. We had a lot of these small, pizza places and things like that we were doing, and I don't know what the go-to is for them. If they're just a 4-camera setup, I think the Gen 2 will work, but if they're not, if there's something bigger, there's not a good middle market. You then jump up to the next higher end, nicer models, and that's about it. So I don't have anything, I don't think they're bad, and this is the 4K camera, by the way, and I'm going to be reviewing that one. I don't think they're bad, but it's definitely a factor in how they work. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to do a specific video where I get my thoughts more clear on that. IT is always changing, for sure. Should my smart home devices reconnect to my Ubiquiti AP? Sure, why not? Put them on a separate one if you have a bunch of smart home devices. I'm going to be doing some more IoT videos because it seems to be a popular topic for people. So let's do this. Here, this is going to be a fun view. This is that camera. This is the 4K camera. So if you want to know what I'm looking at, this is what the studio looks like. So you're looking at the back of my head now. Oh, and there's also probably some type of lag and delay, so this is kind of funny. And if you ever wonder why I look up sometimes, the reason I'm looking up is because the TV is slightly higher than the camera. So this may give you kind of a neat view of things. And this camera's kind of in the way. This one's looking up at the sky. Bumped it a little. Whoop, now we're rolling. Get it straight. Well, that's not straight at all. There we go. And by the way, this has a zoom on it. So I like the camera. We've been playing with it because I didn't want to just do a review. I wanted to do a review with how does it work? So it's been plugged in, recording, and everything else. So we'll zoom right into there we go. And I'll make it full screen again. There's a close-up look at the microphone. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. So you can see what's going on. And that pizza box, in case you're wondering, this is a pizza box over here. It's bigger than a table. We have a pizza place that makes pizzas that are wider than I can show you in this camera. So it's kind of novel. So like I said, they make some decent cameras. The quality of this camera is good. I don't think it's bad or anything like that, but it's I don't know. And they got to come up with a server to put that on. They got to give us the software again for free. I don't know. That's why I'm looking at other alternatives like the Shinobi and things like that. I want to take a look at that. It looks kind of cool. It's an open source NVR system. Even if it's kind of basic, I think a lot of home people would benefit from it a lot, and it's something I may want to run at my house. Playing around with it and things like that. An inexpensive open source. Pretty cool system. It'd be great. I don't know how good it is. The developer reached out to me and told me what cameras that he really liked with it, so I'm going to take a look at which cameras work the best with it and are affordable. I also am going to and I ordered another Raspberry Pi, so I'll have a Raspberry Pi here to do a couple of videos on how to hook up cameras to a Raspberry Pi. That's kind of a fun project. See, there is a setting in the controller for what? Okay. I just deployed Access Companion Line as the Access ones seem pretty nice too. They're kind of pricey, but yeah. So they're not bad. Yeah, and Synology DS Cam, been looking at that because I know they have those as an option too. So Synologies are another one that are pretty nice looking. I'm actually going to a Synology event on next Wednesday. I think about that. Next Wednesday, we're becoming a Synology. We're going through some of their training. I wanted to go through it. They had a local event here in Detroit, and I said, hey, I'll go to that. Plus, they give me ribs. They have ribs there. And since I seen the menu, I'm like, oh, I get to talk with tech people and talk about ribs. All right, I'm all in on this. And so I'll be there, and it's partly. I've learned a lot about Synology. We've been deploying them for a little while, and I really like them, but I've not done much with the camera system there. So, running through all the demos of people and some of the features on there. And you might see at the edge of the frame here is a Synology. We moved it over to here in the studio because we're going to be doing more demos and everything else with it. So, yeah, definitely going to be more videos related to that. And that's also been some of my focus too. So part of the reason we rebuilt the studio, which we're probably ready to do a studio tour of how I rebuilt it, because I don't think anyone I did a lot of research, and there's plenty of great studio tours, and I love things like when I watch, MKBHD talk about his studio gear. He also spent like $100,000 on some of that stuff. So I had an idea, and it worked out really well of how we built this on a budget, and I figured that's going to be something maybe, it's a little bit different type of content on my channel, but there is still a niche of people who want to be able to build reasonable studios. And I always encourage people, if you have a knack for explaining things and want to get into YouTube, awesome, do it. And if I can help guide someone and say, you don't need to go spend $100,000, you can go buy some black pipe from Lowe's and have it cut to the length of your room and create a whole suspended ceiling system and spend less than $150 on the entirety of a suspended ceiling system. I looked at the commercial ones and they were really expensive. This is an entire suspended ceiling system for like $150 that took us a couple hours to put together completely. So it might be kind of a fun thing to talk about how we did it and all the little doodads we had to buy to make it all work. So it wasn't this whole setup. I mean, there's some expense, but it didn't break the bank. Oh, let's see. What do we got here? I'm in a situation where I want a security camera. Ubiquiti system was one I was going to get, but sure, very interested. You're looking at other stuff. Yeah, I'm looking at a few other ones out there. I did early, if you dig around on my YouTube channel, I think we reviewed like a Lorax system and things like that. And they're okay. They work. Lorax is all right. I'm trying to remember the other one out there besides Lorax, maybe GeoVision. There's one of the other ones out there we've done before, and they were okay. There was this off-branded Chinese company that we installed a few systems for, and I tell you, oddly enough, they were some of the most trouble-free systems, and we installed those like 5 or 6 years ago at clients, and they're still working today, and they were 1080 IP cams and everything. Those have worked really well, but that company vanished, and that's the problem with some of the off-brand companies is no support, and the companies just go, and one day you can't order from them anymore. Their website's gone, and all their stuff's gone, and everything else. So it is what it is. Nothing you can really do about it there. So that's why we try to find companies like Unify where, hey, look, great support, excellent interface. I haven't seen a nice interface on a lot of these NVRs. Even some of the bigger commercial ones, the interfaces are okay. Unify does a great job on UI, which I think what led to them being so popular. They're giving away the NVR software free, reasonable cameras, not the cheapest cameras, but pretty decent cameras, and we've installed a lot of them, and they've all held up really, really well. The only camera that's ever given us trouble is this one right here, and not the one that you see with the blue ring, but it's an old one, and we flashed the firmware again on it, and it seems to have gone away. And what we did was we had one here at the shop that was for demo, testing and for us, and we took it to the customer, and we brought this one here, and it's been running ever since without a problem. So that's the only time I think we've had 2 of them we did that. We just erased them, reset them, reflashed the firmware, and they just seem to keep working. I don't know why reflashing a firmware fixes them when they do have problems, but it does. And the problem it was having is it doesn't turn off, it just quits displaying. It goes white. The display gets stuck. So, but it doesn't do it in here. I don't know, it's a one-off, and for as many we installed, it's less than 1% failure rate, which is good for really any company, because that camera was outdoors for like 6 months before it had a problem. Oh, let's see. I asked that tour yesterday, but have you ever installed any of the 40 gig MPO cabling? Nope, I have not. I'm not much of an expert on that. What are your thoughts on the open source software NVR ZoneMinder interface? Good enough for industrial users? No. So far, even my little bit of testing with Shinobi, which I granted a lot of it is me not understanding it, but the fact that I didn't immediately understand it, it just doesn't, they don't feel polished. I haven't used ZoneMinder in a while, but last time I did, it really felt rough. I'm looking at the Shinobi one, which seems to have a much better interface, but I still got to do some playing with it because it's not, none of them are as easy as the Unify made it. Unify made setting the cameras up easy and everything else. I'll even throw a mention out there too, like when you buy one of those integrated kits from Lorax that's got the IP camera and the PoE built in, you just plug it in and it turns on. I'm not saying they have to do it that way, but if open source ones want to get there, they're going to have to do something like that to make it easy to find cameras, easy to add cameras. And my hopes are that when I get a chance to review the Shinobi software that it does that, but as of right now, I got to sit and look at it. And it's still, they do offer support, so I'm not going to rule them out until I understand the product better and do a full review of it, and then I'll have more concise thoughts on it. Can you switch video feed to that other camera? The G3? Sure. Why not? Let's do that. So, also, I just realized my staff named this Camera Mystery Science Theater 4K. So here is the other camera. Here is the G3. It's kind of looking up, so we'll make it look down a little bit here. There we go. That's a bandwidth issue when it does that with not the camera, but with this here. So this is this one. It flares those lights a whole lot more, and this is part of the comparison I'll be doing. Notice the lens flare I'm getting on this versus, let's switch over to the other one. Go to live. Oh, I gotta zoom it back out. Hold on. Go here, optical zoom. We'll go full wide on it. It doesn't really flare the lens as much. It's actually got a really good picture on it. So this is pretty slick. I do like this. Also, you can see how all the hangers are and how everything mounts to the ceiling, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's, and it'll, it's got a focus on it, so we can do this. It'll focus on my hand and refocus on something else. But it's, you know, the camera works pretty well. I like it. The picture quality is actually great on this. Matter of fact, what's interesting to me is these lights aren't blinding it. So you can still see the door, you can see the pizza box back there. You know, you can still see a lot of things on the table, and you can still see our podcast stuff set up from when we were doing the podcast. Well, my wife was doing her podcast here yesterday. And so you get an idea of how everything looks, and it's great. Like, I'm in focus and it's not blown out, but when she switched to another camera, very big difference. Not just an angle, but just the way it flares everything, and look at how I'm moving my head into that, and it's there. So when I do the video, this is the things I'm gonna do, is have the videos so I can show the difference between them and show how it looks. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, ZoneMinder's pretty rough. Someone verified it. I didn't think there's any major updates to it, so yeah. Have you followed Chris Krautuck's 5 terabyte update? I'm worried about hitting the limit and getting too many cameras, CPU speed. Yeah, that's, well, my problem is we put an SSD in it because when you start recording with 4K, it chugs. And so we popped an SSD in it, and that solved the problem. So now here's the next thing. SSDs are a lot more expensive to go up to that size. So we put, I don't know if we got a 1 terabyte SSD. I don't remember what we stuck in it for testing, but that's going to be a factor in how I review it. Now, reliability is my first test of it, and it's now survived 3 or 4 updates since we got it. So it's been running nonstop. We always leave it running. We've had it here. Well, we used to have it in the other room, and it's been bumped around the building a bunch of times, and it's back. Oh, now we just built the studio rack, so now it's in here. So that's a thing. And yeah, J.J. Abrams would be proud of me for all the flares. So that's how we're going to build it. Also, this is for another video. This is a bunch of 10 terabyte drives. I'm going to do getting started with FreeNAS 11.2. So this thing's filled up with 10 terabyte drives and going to be a video for that. So that's going to be kind of fun. And, you know, this is our new lab FreeNAS for doing demos on and things like that. Actually, they announced yesterday XCP NG version 8, so I might load that on there and do a video. So getting started with XCP NG version 8. I can see how much different the installer is. Because I update videos if there's a major change, not version number change, but a major change in the product. So I did a revisited video for like PfSense because there was a lot of changes they made to it. They added a lot with a major version change. I don't do a new video when there's a subversion change. FreeNAS, obviously when he went from 11.1 to 11.2 was a big change, so I need a video on that. But the changes seem to be more subtle going from XCP and G7.6 to XCP and G8. So if the installer and a lot of that isn't that much different, I may not do a video until there is a big difference on there, because basically my old video is going to be completely as relevant now as it was before, other than the numbers change, but the software is the same. And if the tutorial is good, I don't really need to recreate it. Yeah, I heard too, but not from anyone from Unify, but from rumors that they want to put it on the XG appliance. I like that idea. Where are you at with it, Unify? You make the hardware. How can you not port that over? That's a weird thing to me that they make this high-end appliance. What am I supposed to run on it? Your own Protect. I wish they had answers for that, but that's something that would be great if they did. So, yeah, there's a bunch of 10 terabytes. I think there's 10 terabytes in this. I don't know. There's a story with this server of how it got here that I'm really, I don't know whose it is. I kind of do, but the company went bankrupt. So I don't. It's here, but they don't come get it. It's been here for like 6 months, so now it's our lab server until it's empty. There's nothing on it. It's brand new. They built it and then didn't use it and didn't finish a project, and we're in limbo. We've asked them, and they said, "Yeah, we're going to get to it." So they have proposals and quotes. So we're just going to there's a lot of confusion because then the company declared bankruptcy, and we're like, "Well, now what?" So it's here now. So that's why I didn't go with any of this hardware. Someone else did, and. So I don't know. We're going to test it, and we're fuzzy on all of it. There's so much confusion of how it got here. So they're not my hardware choices. They're hardware choices made by a company that went bankrupt. So take that for what it's worth. So that server is now, I guess, ours. I'm fuzzy on that. But I will be doing probably tomorrow, because everything arrived today, a video on this itself, like how we built the rack, cable management, and talking about ideas and parts and what the parts list is to build your little home labs and get them set up so they don't look awful. But this scales. This is one of those things. I encourage a lot of people to have a home lab. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people who work in enterprise tech that also have some type of lab at home. And so this is going to be kind of a guide of ways you get the cabling to look nice and ideas around that. That's, I think, really important. I want to make sure I do a good video on some of those concepts. As I notice our wall video is pretty popular, and there's always someone who has an opinion that we did the wall video wrong or that whatever. We're trying to show you this is how we wire things, this is how we cable things. I don't like going in and seeing rat's nests, so if my videos help someone learn how to do a cleanup and make nice cabling and wiring, awesome. I'm happy to have helped. So do I have people asking? Kind of, and they frequently, so this is my opinion on captive portals. Don't do it. Unless you have to, unless there's a legal reason you have to. And this is why I say this. So we came in and we put in a big Wi-Fi at a big company. And then they had somebody talk them into, because they're a retail organization. Oh, no, you need this captive portal system that captures all your Wi-Fi, blah, 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 blah. And I said, just give free Wi-Fi, send restrictions. And I did this at the bowling alley. And it worked. People used it. Lots of people used the Wi-Fi. They switched to this other system. And my phone popped up when I went there, and it wanted me to sign into something, to which I said, nope. And it wanted me to sign in with Facebook and give an email address. I didn't even feel like typing. I just don't care that much. And I think a lot of other people did too, because we've seen the traffic on the guest network go substantially down. And after their contract was up, they were upset. They never said, we were right, and I'm not trying to point fingers, but they had us put our Wi-Fi stuff all back in because they wanted the whole Wi-Fi switched out for this other company. They used the what's that? Open Mesh, the company Datto bought. They had all that installed, and they said it was nothing but a headache. They didn't get any leads from it. They didn't feel as though it did anything to help them with targeted ads, and they really didn't have but gibberish added, so it didn't really build their mailing list. I'm like, I kind of said that when you guys wanted to rip out the Unify and put in this. I'm not a big fan of it, so I don't really get it. So, yeah. Cabling, spent a lot of time. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the captive portals are, yeah. So I'm not big on a captive portal. A lot of people seem to like it. Honestly, this is something, if you didn't know already, Facebook, the company that they are, they slurp up people's data. They have people install the app on here. And why I'm getting to this is the marketing side of it. So people install the Facebook app because they want Facebook to work, Well, what does that lead to? Geofencing. If you really want to target, you can, and as far as I know, this still works because we quit doing it ourselves, but we used to do this with the retail. You can put your Wi-Fi SSID in your Facebook page, and it would let you know and set up beaconing based on your Wi-Fi so you could send ads and see who is at your location. This is some of the business side of Facebook. Well, with all that information and me being able to directly advertise and know who is on there, I don't need them to sign into a captive portal. So I can be less intrusive have them signing on to my free Wi-Fi and collect better marketing stats through Facebook than I could through a captive portal, and then do direct advertising and retarget those people and build brand around that. Now I've done consulting with businesses, and we set this up when I was doing some of that work. That works. Why would I want a captive portal? You're actually making the barrier harder. You want them connected to your Wi-Fi, get them on your network. Facebook recognizes the SSID and then understands and lets you retarget them as potential people. Because if they're at your establishment once, they'll go to establishment again, come to your restaurant again, whatever the establishment may be. That's a better marketing than trying to get everyone to put a bunch of crap in a captive portal. That's my rant on that. Hey, it's Chris from Crosstalk. Hey, Chris. Chris, I got from him we moved over to the hardware version of FreePBX with all the licenses on it, so that went well. We got all that working. Well, there was quirks, and because luck of the draw, I found some quirky problem that I had with it and whatever. But Chris is always their forums are always very helpful. If you don't know that he's got the Discord, you can join. And I think anyone who's watching my channel heard of Chris because he's been doing this longer than me. So he's a free PBX expert. So I delegate some of the free PBX work too. And I think I messaged you, Chris. I don't know if I haven't looked at my messages in a little while, but me and Chris were working on, because he's helping one of my clients with some free PBX help and getting everything set up. So great person to work with for phones and everything. Have you had to deal with PCI compliance with PoE camera systems? Yes. It's stupid. I think PCI compliance is dumb dumb because it's not that I don't think companies should be following compliance, and I probably shouldn't be on my channel talking about how dumb it is, but you can pass compliance and not be secure. That's always drove me nuts. It's also drove me nuts the fact that what fails security, and this comes back to your camera question, why did they fail? Well, they had a port open on their firewall. If you have ports open in your firewall, you are likely to fail compliance, which is also stupid because they're just scanning externally for ports open. If you have more than one public IP address and you use the other IP address as your outbound, problem solved. At least for compliance. Did it make you any more secure? No, not a bit. But it passed your compliance. So if you have to open up ports in a firewall and those ports don't have an SSL cert on them, so they're like 443 but not SSL, frequently, some of the different devices on there, you're going to probably end up with problems with compliance. So it's not that the cameras fail compliance, but generally speaking, if you're doing compliance right, I'm going to be doing a corporate network video talking about how you separate the different networks. We did one recently, and I want to walk through, I'm going to build a lab version of it to walk people through, this is how you build this out. And that's what the goal is for that, to show you how the build out goes, how you separate the networks, and how you should be doing it. Not because of PCI compliance, because you care about security. Yes, it'll pass PCI compliance because it's separating everything on separate networks, but the biggest part is you're doing it because you care about security. I think more people get caught up in the bureaucracy of security because they just want to make some auditor happy, but the reality is you want to make sure you're doing things in a secure manner. To me, mentally, that's what matters, that I'm doing things in a secure manner, not that I made some bureaucrat happy on page 27, Form B. So that's what I think about PCI compliance and cameras and everything else. Do I have experience with the nano HDs in terms of coverage, AC pros? I think I did a video on that topic. I'm almost positive I did. I did a comparison, and I found, if I remember my results being that there was a very minimal difference, and it was hard to get all the variations out of the way. Matter of fact, I know we had a hard time doing it because we tested them once, came up with numbers, did a baseline, did a test, and then we tested them the next day doing the same test and came up with different results. And Wi-Fi, we declared as magic and defies laws of reason sometimes. So we're not exactly sure what causes some of the interference of Wi-Fi. And granted, these are subjective, but it made some anomalies in the data the anomalies in daily testing on the Wi-Fi made it very complicated to tell if there was a difference between them, because they both had enough variation between them that the anomalies were also the equal amount of variation between the devices. And we were doing them, powering them off, powering them on separately. So they were very, very close to each other. That's what I determined. The difference is, though, for example, not in just coverage, but speed. There is a distinctive speed difference, whether or not you have a 3x3 MIMO, a 2x2 MIMO, or don't have MIMO at all. Those are distinctive speed differences, and that was something you can tangibly measure consistently with the different Wi-Fi products. But that's a different thing. So are you looking for speed or range? The range is very variable and seems to be pretty close, even though long range maybe has a little bit more if you get the LRs models, but speed differences obviously come back different. So yes, especially separate management VLANs. You should always be doing management VLANs and building from there. That makes a big difference. And that's what I'm going to talk about when I do my, security demo. And I'm going to talk about where this level of security, because you go another notch up when you talk about security at some of the enterprise levels where you're using what they call jump boxes and things like that. So you have people log into a certain box and then jump over to the next box. That way they can, consolidate all the logins and lock it down. There's a lot of little trust levels that go in there, but there's still things you can do at home in building management VLANs versus, native VLANs and everything else. I'm going to walk through some of those processes. Can firewalls really protect from ransomware? No. Quit thinking. I don't know who thinks that. I know I do, salespeople, and people who watch a lot of TV, that they breach the firewall. The firewall is probably your worst tool to protect you from ransomware. I feel a lot of people, the intrusion prevention systems on those is just not, I don't know. It's just people, you got to remember, they're sending a phishing email. They're sending a spear phishing email, probably in the case of Baltimore. We won't know for sure, but it sounds like it was a targeted attack, which means spear phishing emails. The firewall isn't stopping those emails. Those emails came signed and encrypted, undoubtedly, because they were, using different forms of probably legit servers to send them, registering similar domains to the same domains they use. There's a lot of techniques that get used, and because we've seen some of the spear phishing against their own clients, they were using Office 365. Someone bought a Office 365 account to spearfish. So they had went through the trouble of setting up a company name, a fake domain, everything. Well, a firewall doesn't know that that's fake. We didn't know it was fake. It even was, the domain they registered was their company name, but they misspelled freight by flipping the I and the E, which of course I didn't look at it at first and realize that was a problem. So it took a second. So there's a lot that goes into this that creates some of these problems that makes it not easy for a firewall to find or mitigate these. Software blocks applications, firewalls block packets. That's fair enough. Backups, yeah, because honestly, if someone has enough time and resources, they're going to hack you. Depending on how determined they are, and if they're a 3-letter agency, you're in a lot of trouble, because a very determined, with a big budget or big, determination to get into your networks, is going to make some dent in your network. They're going to tailgate into your building. They're going to physically get there. They can, depending on what means they want to take, and find a way in. So security is about mitigating risk. It's not about closing every single hole. You do as best as you can and go from there. Just checked in the video you mentioned, compared the Nano HD and Roam HD and ACLR. That's why I asked. About the ACLR Pro. Okay, yeah, I can't remember. It's been a while. I have to watch my videos again. Backup plan and offsite backups. Yes. That's always having a good disaster recovery plan. So I'm going to walk through some of our DR planning and how we do things. And I goofed something up the other day and I had to restore it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I thought about that. And it's kind of funny because it was me being stupid. So let me log into it. So I can... here we go. Backups. So Tom broke Parrot restore. But this is one of those things, like, because I have a solid plan on doing things. So here's my restoration from the oops I did. So my DR plan meant 5 minutes and 4 seconds to completely restore a virtual machine that I broke because I made mistakes. But this is part of the reason we have all these backups. It makes it arbitrary for me to go, oh crap, I broke it. I guess I'll just restore from backup. And it's 5 minutes later, I have a completely running virtual machine that works just like it did before. I've done videos on this before, and after I restored it, I did the thing the second time, but I did it right. Because once you learned your lesson the first time, and I should have did a snapshot, and I didn't. That's why I was restoring from backups. But you could see, like, no big deal here. The backup itself, once I fixed it and got it right, so restored in 5 minutes, and then at half an hour later, after I got the configuration I wanted set up, I went and backed it up again, because predictably I would possibly break it again. So this is part of the reason we have all these plans. And then a backup plan that's not tested is just wishful thinking. But you can see this is how we do all of our backups. But this is whole virtual machine backup, and this is only a piece of what we do. The reality is, you notice that these all say disabled. That's because I don't have these scheduled. I only back them up when I'm making major changes because everything else is set up to back up hourly. So I don't care about the virtual machine unless there's a major change. That's when I back it up. And I'm going to do a video like how we think about it and how we do some of this, because most of our backups are automated and hourly and offsite. So every hour, all the data that's encrypted before it even leaves the virtual machine is dropped on a SyncThing server and sent offsite to distributed to multiple locations. So we have like a constant rolling backup. So at any given time, we never lose more than an hour of data. I mean, nightly backups are cool, but when you start producing a lot of data, I think about what a day's work is for us and what that would cost to lose a day's work. Rebuilding a day is very complicated. It's not just a labor. It's not one day. It's what did we do? We documented it all in here. We created all the passwords in here. We created all the different settings for a client and VLANs for our Unify. Well, I don't want to lose a day's worth of work. What if we set up 4 different machines? And that would be a real pain. So we have all that set up in hourly backups every hour. Not to mention the systems are all living redundantly on RAID arrays and all the other mitigations that we have to prevent it from failing in the first place. But then on top of that, it's hourly backed up offsite with all the data so it can be restored. So hopefully that helps on some of that. Why QNAP or Synology? I just like the Synology ecosystem, and we deployed a few of them, and they've just been flawless. We like them, so they work well. I like FreeNAS too. FreeNAS, though, is where we go for the enterprise, but Synology's been a really good go-to for small business. Let's see. Yeah, VMs are awesome. What do you suggest for browser plugins? Let's see here. Browser plugins are LastPass, Sprint Reader, and uBlock Origin. You don't need TubeBuddy unless you're a YouTuber, so. Daily snapshot would cause such a massive transfer spike if you likely be flat out for hours. Yeah, Synologies are great. So Kyle's a big fan. Kyle does a lot of our setup for Synology, so he's become very adept at deploying them. So yeah, I don't do many browser plugins. The fewer there are, the happier I am. I will admit, I did a video on Sprint Reader. Sprint Reader is one of my favorite things. So yeah, if QNAP wants to send us one, that's cool. We'll see how we like them. That's okay. Synology sent us one because we started talking about it and they wanted us to do a video, so Synology sent us one, and I'm cool with that. I got no problem with that. I like free stuff. I like swag. So if Synology wants to send us more stuff, I'm all for it. Let's see. What else we got? I'm running down to the end. I don't want to just fill dead air. Anyone have any questions? Hey, I see Rob. I've helped you with a lot of videos. Awesome. But I'm going to ready to wind this down. It is beautiful outside, and after I send a quote or two, I'm going to go wander around outside. Someone says it's windy. What's the weather? Let us look. What is the weather going to be? It's 80 degrees outside. Beautiful. What do you think, Marcus? Should I end this live stream? Are you excited to go do stuff? My son wants to go for a bike ride.
I'll go home too.
Oh, he wants to go home? Yeah. Did your sister leave?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to break something with that.
What is this?
It's my trophy. Yeah.
Don't deserve it. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. It's Lisa Thud. All right. See you guys next time. Jump into forums. Thank you for everyone for watching, all that stuff. I say jump into forums because people are looking for ways to interact and things like that. I'm in the forums a lot. I try to reply to everybody. Sometimes I don't understand a question. Maybe I don't reply to at least a couple of them. But for the most part, I'm into forums, more videos coming, and all that fun stuff. Does Unify FreeNAS stuff all connect to Radius or LDAP? It can, yes. FreeNAS, as far as I think FreeNAS does. Never really tried. I usually connect FreeNAS to Active Directory. That's usually the more popular request. So, but Unify supports FreeRadius. I have a couple ideas for videos on that for something I haven't tested, because someone said it didn't do it. I looked it up and it does. You can do Mac-based authentication with Unify. So I'm going to possibly do a couple of videos showing that. I don't have any customers using it, because usually people who want things like that are already running Cisco and some other enterprise systems for that, because it's really popular in the corporate environment to have, full Mac-based authentication. But, I want to give it a try and see if I can't make it all work with Unify, because it's kind of novel to be able to do that. And I believe, and that's why I want to test, that I can not only do Mac-based authentication, but do Mac-based plus a VLAN assignment when you do it. So when you plug in based on your MAC address, whatever you plug it in any switch, it automatically assigns the VLAN to that device. So I think you can do that. So yeah, my son's hacking my phone. Put that down, Marcus, pretty much. So if we let it, yeah. Sometimes that's what I got to deal with. But he just likes basking in all the blue light back there. Are the lights cool?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything to say to 112 live stream people before I hit the button? No?
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
No. No. I don't condone those words. That is the words of my son, not of me. Do you want to end the live stream?
Yeah, can I press more buttons?
No, just press
that button.
that ends it right there. So
That button.
Yep. Cool.